Okay, all right. So last class, for the past two classes, I think we will be discussing on collocations, right? Word collocations, and we did a few exercises. We're done with the explanation on that part, so I'm not going to take up that anymore. But I think last class we finished talking about the delexical verbs or delexicalized verbs, as you wish to call it, and we did not get a chance to do an exercise in that. So I told you that whatever we take up next class, we'll first finish off the exercises for delexical verbs, and then we'll move on to the next one, right? So we'll do that now. Quickly to brush up what we have done, you can see here, this is what delexicalized verbs were, right? You had of them, about 6 of them, right? Have, then take, second one, third one was give, fourth was make, then go, and the last one is do, right? So these are the 6 delexical verbs that we have in English. Some people might add, words like set and all also to it, but no, the major 6 delexicalized verbs would be this, right? So for your reference, I'm just going to place them here. What is it? How many? Have, then take, and give, then go, and do, and this is the other one. Have, take, give, go, do, and make. Okay. So these are the ones that you would, the 6 delexical verbs in English would be this. Okay. So we're going to make use of these 6 and fill up the blanks here, right? About 20, I think we have. We'll quickly finish off this exercise and discuss about stress patterns in English, right? You already finished with that week on stress patterns, haven't you? Can somebody confirm? I think it should have been in the 8th week or something. Did you already do it? Yes, no? Stress patterns in English you did know already?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So we'll quickly look at the rules for that today, and if the time permits, we'll do the exercise. Otherwise, we'll mostly focus with the rules and then go ahead and do the exercise for the next class. Okay. All right. So let's do this exercise then. First question: make sure you dash a look at the engine before you buy the car.
Have
a look.
Have a look, or what do you think is the right one? Have a look. Is there any other option possible?
Take a look.
Take look, have a look. So which one is the suitable one?
Make sure you take a look at the engine. Have a look at the engine. Take a look at the engine looks better.
Looks better. Looks better is not something that you respond with for grammar, but okay. Both are right. Okay, you can say have a look. You can say take a look. Both are correct. The difference is in the usage with respect to UK and US English. In US, usually they use the expression take a look. Okay. But in British English, it is have a look. So both are acceptable options. They're both right. There's nothing wrong. Grammatically, they both are the same. But yeah, it's just the difference of UK US usage. Okay. Keep this in mind. There's no problem using have a look or take a look. Okay. Second one, they never fail to dash as a welcome when we go there.
give.
Give us a welcome. Okay. Right. Give us a welcome when we go there. Right. Then Saturday is my day for dash jobs around the house. Saturday is my day for dash jobs around the house.
Get.
Sorry? What was that?
I think get.
Give. Give or get? I did not hear you.
Get.
Get jobs around the house. What does that mean? Tell me about the implied meaning so that we understand it better. No? So, get a job, yes, but see again, yeah, so like I told you, get is again, that expression which is more common in the US English than in the British English, but here, and also get is not treated as a, the lexical verb, right? It has other functions. Here, your answer would be do. Okay, remember this? I think last class we discussed about this. Let me quickly take you through that again. Where is it? Yeah, see this one? What all, you can use, usually what nouns, that lexical verb, no, it's a combination of a verb and a noun, right? And with respect to meaning, I've told you that in delexicalized verbs, what happens? They usually the meaning of the sentence is completely derived from the noun. Okay, this verb is called delexical because it does not participate in giving any meaning to the whole phrase. Like get a job. The most of the sorry, not get a job. Do the job, right? Do the job is something, is an expression where the whole of the meaning is derived from the noun part, which is job, right? The job. The verb do has got absolutely nothing to do with it. It does not contribute any meaning to the overall phrase, which is why the name delexical. Okay, no meaning is provided. And where do we use this word do with? This verb do with, usually ing nouns, okay, which has got to do with work, right? So anything that has got to do with work, whether it's the word job itself or different kinds of jobs, all of them would take the delexical verb do with it. Okay. Nouns to do with work, other nouns to do with work like doing the homework, or with nouns when it is obvious that the action is where it is obvious what the action is. So like do my hair. Okay. So mostly the thing is with activities and with jobs, usually the delexical verb used is do. At this point, this is what it's trying to tell you. So in our question, then what will be the response to that? Saturday is my day for dash jobs around the house. What do you think would be a suitable response to that? Which verb?
Do jobs.
Do jobs, my day for do jobs or doing jobs?
Doing jobs.
Doing jobs, right? So obviously these changes that we have around the verb, no, that is applicable to this verb also. It's only meaning wise that it is not contributing, but we know that in terms of grammar, changes of change in the forms with respect to time, tense, etc., it's shown around the verb. So that changes, grammatical changes are applicable to these verbs also. It's just that they don't contribute towards the meaning. That's it. Okay. So keep that in mind. Doing jobs around the house. Now, next, fourth one. The housing committee are dash priority to the elderly.
Giving priority to the elder.
Giving priority. So the basic phrase is give priority. And here, because of the applicable tense form, you're using giving priority to the elderly. Okay. Then the fifth one is the moment we met, we dash a dislike to each other. Which delexical verb?
We met. The moment we met,
we
have a dislike to each other.
No. Not
we
that.
Are. The moment we met, we
met.
We
Yes.
Make.
No.
We
took a dislike. Took a dislike. You said take a like. Similarly, I immediately took a liking for this person, right? Similarly, took a dislike. Take a like, take a dislike too. Okay, both are expression that you use with take. Take a dislike
Had
to each other.
Had a dislike to each other. How?
No. No, that is a wrong usage. We don't use it like that. Okay. The right expression to go here. See, these are all expressions. They are not like single individual words. You have phrases and expressions in English. So this is a phrasal expression. Take a dislike for or take a dislike to. Okay, all of them are expressional phrases. So the right way of using it, the functional accuracy of that is to use the dialectical verb take. So in this case, because you have met in past tense, you change the other thing also to past tense. The moment we met, we took a dislike to each other. Okay. Then next one. I told her I'd run in the marathon. I'm not going to dash any promises like that again.
I'm not going to make
Give.
any promises
Ah,
like that
correct.
again.
Make.
Make any promises, right? Make any promises. Seventh one, she is always, no, sorry, it's not she is. She has always dash an interest in current affairs.
She has always
Hmm.
has an interest in current affairs.
She has always,
Had.
As always,
Ah.
she has always.
correct. Somebody said it, had, not has, had. She has always had an interest in current affairs. So have is the lexical verb you're using here in the past tense, had. She has always had an interest in current affairs, or alternatively, you can also say she has always taken an interest in current affairs. Okay, because take and have can go hand in hand. One the US variety, one the English variety, British variety. That's all. But both are correct. She has always had an interest, or she has always taken an interest in current affairs. Both correct. Eighth one, her singing dash an impression on the audience.
Made an impression.
Correct. Made an impression on the audience. So make an impression is your big lexical verb phrase. Ninth one, dash the handle twist and the door should open.
Give the handle a twist and the door should open.
Correct. Give the handle a twist and the door should open. So basically, the expression we use is give a twist, right? Give a twist. I don't know the answer, so I'll dash a guess.
Make.
Make a guess, right? Make a guess.
Okay,
11th one. Everyone else was dash notes in the lecture, but I had forgotten my
notes. Everyone else was taking notes in the lecture, but I had forgotten my pen.
Taking notes or making notes?
Making.
I use taking, ma'am.
Take a note or make a note?
Making notes in the lecture. Taking notes in the lecture.
Again, this is
like you take, madam, you take the notes in the lecture, then you go and make whatever paragraphs or what you want later on.
Okay, I'll ask you another question after this, but make or take a note. Which one is the correct one? What do you think is the right usage?
Correct one, I don't know, but I'll go with take, ma'am.
Okay, so I will tell you both are correct. Okay. Taking a note is also fine and making a note is also fine. These are both acceptable expressions, okay? But in US English, the most commonly used one is make a note. Most probably you're familiar with that more because in workplace and other places, usually the English that garners a lot of popularity is the US English. That's why. So in American English, it's they say make a note. They don't have an expression called take a note. However, in British English, both making a note and taking a note is considered correct. Okay. Then sorry.
Next, Shama would, madam.
Shama would dash a speech tomorrow.
Make a speech. Would give a speech tomorrow.
Give a speech tomorrow, not make a speech. Okay, give a speech tomorrow. Shama would give a speech tomorrow. 13th one, Tarun will dash a presentation on artificial intelligence and the new medicine.
Have.
Here make will come.
Make. Okay, not have a presentation. Tarun will make a presentation. You make a presentation. You don't give a presentation. You don't make a speech. You give a speech. You don't give promises. You make promises. Right?
Madam,
Yes.
Shama would make a speech tomorrow. Why it is wrong or why it should not be used?
That is not an acceptable usage. Okay, these are all.
Whether it will
see,
convey the meaning?
It does not. Make
It
a
does
speech tomorrow? No, it's not how it
But
works.
make
You say give a speech.
She is going to make a speech. Shama would make a speech. Oh, she cannot make something.
Yeah.
Making is
It
you.
might look okay for us, but that is not an acceptable usage for English speakers, right? There are few things like that which may look okay. Even within our languages, we have expression. I mean, there is always debates on these things, but the widely accepted usage or the one that gains popularity is the one that qualifies for acceptability. So, would give a speech tomorrow is something. Give a speech is what is more commonly accepted one and more
Give a
frequently used.
presentation. How it is changed? Give a presentation. Make a presentation is okay, correct.
Make a presentation.
Okay.
Make a presentation is correct. You
Why someone cannot use give a presentation? Tarun will give a presentation on artificial intelligence. Give.
why they cannot give? Again, same thing. This is called L1 interference. It is okay for our languages to use these things, but every language has specific set of norms of acceptability, right? English does not do that. It does not consider give a presentation as per usage. Okay, just make a presentation for it. It looks okay for us because we are not native speakers to that language. Okay, but if you speak with people who have grew up speaking English, they would tell you, no, this is not acceptable. We don't speak like this. We have so many such instances in our own languages, right? And there are huge debates. If people would, especially if your language has gender in it, things like Hindi, you will see people disagreeing on whether a given, thing is feminine or masculine. There are some things that are commonly accepted as feminine and masculine, but there are things which people disagree on, right? They would tell you one thing is curd. So you will arguing people talking about no, the he is masculine, and you'll also hear people say no, the he is feminine, right? So usages vary, but whichever gains the popularity and is very frequently used by the people, they get into the usual acceptability criteria. Okay. So yeah, make a presentation on artificial intelligence. You were wrong in dash a leave without intimation. You should dash an apology.
Taking a leave without intimation.
Taking a leave without any intimation. You should dash an apology.
Give an apology. You should.
You should make an apology.
An apology.
Okay. The right answer is
be
you
given.
should make an apology. Okay. Very much like make a presentation. This should also be make an apology, not give an apology. Then 15th one, he dash running every morning.
Goes.
Goes. This is activity, right? Routine activity. So he goes running every morning.
Goes to or goes running? Both are same or both are different?
Both are different. No, there is nothing called goes to running. That's wrong. You say goes running.
He goes running.
Go running. Go running is the thing.
To running? No, it is also go to running.
No. Go running. That's the phrase that you use.
Go to. So you can go to a market.
Yeah, you can go to a market, of course. But you cannot go to running.
Running. Okay.
I'm 16th one. I'm busy today. Will you dash the cooking?
Do the cooking.
Yes, do the cooking. Right? Will you do the cooking? Let's dash shopping at the weekend. What do you say?
Go to shopping.
Go. Just go. No, go to shopping. Let's go shopping at the weekend. Okay, let's go fishing. Let's go shopping.
Then you can say go to shop.
Yeah, If you're treating it as a place, then yes, go to a shop. Okay, because you have to show the connection between the
Okay. Shopping is verb.
the subject and the pronoun.
So
But
shopping is verb.
what is verb?
Shopping is a verb.
Shopping is not verb here, it's a noun.
It's a noun. Okay.
Yeah, this is a gerund form of all this running, swimming, shopping, fishing. These are all nouns. It has ing, but all ing forms are not tense forms or verb forms. This is a category called gerund in English. Okay, swimming, shopping, ing noun forms. Okay, all ing noun forms are going to take the verb go with it, go or do, depending on what you're talking about. Okay. So
Now,
let's go.
any thing is there, like shop also is noun and shopping also noun. So how we decide whether you use a go to or go?
But is shopping and shop two different things? Do they mean the same? What is shopping? What is the difference between shopping and the shop? Both are noun, you are right. But what's the difference?
Maybe we'll visit many shops in shopping.
No, clear, straightforward answer to what the meaning is shop is a place. Shopping is what it is, an activity. And this dialectical verb do and go, they are mostly used when you're talking about activities, jobs, anything related to work. Especially the dialectical verb go is used with something that is, a planned activity or a routine activity. Okay, not the other kind of professions or job. With professions and jobs, you usually use do. But these ones, activities, routine activities, planned activities, especially the one with ing, nouns with ing endings, they take go. Okay.
So even
Both
for
are
swimming, it will be all ing. It will go. Let's go swimming, or let's go to swimming.
No, let's go swimming. Not go to.
Go
To doesn't come here at all. That expression is completely wrong. There is no acceptability to it. Nobody uses that expression. If you have been doing that, then it's wrong usage. Don't do that. It's just go swimming, go shopping,
go swimming,
go cycling. That's all.
go cycling. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So let's go shopping at the weekend. What do you say? Now, 18th one, I may dash horse riding with my cousin this Friday. I may dash horse riding with my cousin this Friday.
Go horse riding.
Go. I may go horse riding with my cousin this Friday. Okay.
Oh.
Yes. Now, the 19th one, have you dashed your teeth well? Have you dashed your teeth well?
Well, have you?
Have you? Have you done? Have you done your teeth? Have you done? So this is the verb do. Have you done your teeth well? Right.
Do.
Yes.
Do
and the last.
Okay.
Yeah. And the last one here is, I am heading to the salon to get my hair done. Okay, to get my hair done. Now, these are all conversational usage, so we were talking about this, the lexical verbs. These are very commonly found in conversational English. Okay, and this is important that, you have a grasp of these things, because it can really give an impression to the listener that you are very fluent in English. Okay, the native speakers use a lot of the lexical verb phrases in their speech with each other. So try to use them as a speak. Yeah, Naren, please go ahead.
Madam, in exam or somewhere, like no dialectal verb or nothing is given. In that case, have you dash your teeth well? Can we use brush your teeth well? Or?
Of course, you can do that. Okay, you can do that. But conversational English will accept more of these kind of usage. If there's nothing given, then brush is also fine. Grammatically, it's right to use. No problem with that. You can ask, have you brushed your teeth well? That's okay. Okay.
The equivalent meaning is done your teeth. Done your teeth is equivalent to brushed.
Yes.
Okay. Combed is equivalent to done.
Yes.
I have combed there.
There could be many. You can use brushed your teeth. You can say, cleaned your teeth. Anything related to the dental vocabulary which fits there can go there. And with hair also, you can ask other things. Okay, to get my hair styled, to get my hair cut, to get my hair colored, right? Anything you can say.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right. Okay, so this is the usage for delexicalized verbs, and please keep practicing this one. As and when. So when you the idea is that when you're learning, especially when you're learning to improve on your vocabulary in English, please learn in chunks. You try to learn the phrases, okay, instead of just looking at one single word. I've told the same thing about the other collocation between the adjective and adverb. I told them they're really, really they can do, bring amazing results onto your speech and writing. Next time you read or you listen to something, make notes of this adjective adverb combination. They will really be helpful in improving on your vocabulary. People keep asking, what should I do to improve my vocabulary? Of course, listen more, read more. And when you're doing that, please keep underlining these things, the delexicalized verbs. So is it make an apology or give an apology or give a speech or make a speech? So learn them like this, learn them in chunks, learn them in phrases, learn to, learn how to use these phrases, right? And the other part is the adverb adjective combination. These few things, even if you are able to manage, say, 10 of them per month, then there'll be significant change in the way you write and speak. Okay. It gives generally an impression to people that the person is quite proficient and fluent in speaking or writing, right? So this is one way you can work around your vocabulary. But never ever, just take this from me, never ever write down single words down from newspapers or your novels, make a full vocabulary book and then try to learn it. It never happens. If that were the case, then all of us would have already learned English, because I think most of us would have a dictionary at home. And it would have been lying there and, gathering dust from years now. But nobody ever has been able to master those things. You definitely cannot learn everything in the dictionary. So that doesn't work. Learn whenever you're trying to improve on the vocabulary part. Vocabulary acquisition will happen only through proper reading and listening. And you also have to make a very conscious effort to make notes of these phrases, right? Usages, especially the collocational usages. That should help you a little bit with, with constant, continuous efforts. Definitely something will improve. So that's one thing about it. Okay, so we're done with this exercise. I'm going to close this sheet, and I'm going to discuss a little bit on the stress patterns in English with you. I'll share the PPT with you just now. Probably what we'll do is we'll just have a discussion on the rules as such, and then we'll take up the activities and the questions in the next session. Okay. So how good are you doing with stress? Is it difficult for you to understand the stress rules? But have you done it? I think so. Week 8, right? Stress pattern, aspiration, and plurality markers in English. You've watched those lectures already, right? Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how good are you with stress rules? Are you able to manage questions in that? You understood the rules clearly?
Yes, little bit.
Okay. Nevertheless, we'll just go through them. Okay. They're not very difficult. It looks like a little tricky in the beginning, but as you get more used to it. Again, this is something that requires practice, because stress in English is mostly, as we always say, a little intuitive, right? Again, there are places where there's disagreements between the among the native speakers on where the stress should lie. 80% of the times you can use these rules to get the stress question right. But some of the times what happens, there are some, unexplainable reason why the stress shifts onto something else. We'll not talk about the ones which are disputed, or you won't have a question also on something that has a disputable stress marking. most of the questions that we give you and talk to you about would be the ones from that 80% list, where you can decide based on these rules where to specify. Of course, knowing the rules will not help you bring the stress factor in your speaking. For that, you will have to, again, as said before, you'll have to listen more. Okay, listen carefully to how they speak and should catch on to the rhythm and catch on to the breaks and pauses as they make it, right? But technically, you can try and understand where the stress falls based on these words. Okay, so monosyllabic words, the words which have one single syllable, right? So we know that words are made using syllables, right? The smaller segments of a word would be syllables, which is syllables come together to form words. And when that happens, the words may have one syllable, which is called a monosyllabic word. If it has two syllables, you call it a disyllabic word. Three, then trisyllabic, and anything about three syllables will be called a polysyllabic word, right? And there are millions of words in all of these categories. So, and we can in the future have more words. We never know what is the end of that. With syllable itself, you would consider something as a syllable only if it has at least one vowel sound, right? Or in other words, syllables always have one vowel sound associated with it, right? So one vowel alone can form a syllable, but without a vowel, you can never have a syllable, right? So that then is also referred to as the nucleus, because without nucleus, you cannot have the entity itself. And because without vowel, you cannot have a syllable. The vowel itself within the structure of the syllable is called a nucleus, right? These things are not important for you. I'm just simply discussing that. But just remember, keep this thing in mind that your syllable is always, you don't have a syllable without a vowel sound, right? And several such syllables with a combination of vowels and consonants come together to form the word, right? Now, about stress. In monosyllabic words, the only, you would just have one single syllable, which means there is only one vowel in the syllable, right? So, okay, one more thing. So if somebody asks you about syllabification, somebody asks you how many syllables in this word, ideally, the total number of the vowel sounds in the word equals the number of syllables in that word, okay? One foolproof technique to identify how many number of syllables in a word is to understand and decide how many vowel sounds, not vowels, keep in mind, not the letters, vowel sounds, right? You already know, you have, you know this distinction very clearly now. 44 sounds, how many consonants out of the 44? Week 1 lecture, anybody remembers? Total of 44 sounds. How many consonant sounds do you have? No? Forgotten? How many vowel sounds? Okay, forget about consonants. Vowel sounds? Am I audible to you, or is it because you don't know the answer? Just checking in.
No, I just went for 5 minutes, not listen to you, madam. What is the question?
Question is, how many vowel sounds in English? There were other people listening. They can also answer.
Monosyllable. How many vowel sounds are there in?
We were having a discussion on this, and as a follow-up, I asked the question, how many vowel sounds in English? Other
In
people,
English, vowel sounds. Okay, 44 minus 20. What? First 20 sounds.
20 sounds, 20 vowel sounds, right? Out of which you have 8 diphthongs and 12 pure vowels, or also known as the monophthongs, right? So these vowel sounds are responsible for the syllables, right? So in monosyllabic words, you are only going to have one syllable, which means only one vowel sound in this word. One foolproof technique to identify the number of number of syllables in a word is to look at the total number of vowel sounds in that word. Again, I repeat, not the vowel letters, the vowel sounds, right? So you'll have to check which among the 20 vowels do you have in the word, or how many, not which, actually, how many of them can you count in there? And that would give you the count for the syllables in the word. Okay. In monosyllabic words, you only have one syllable and hence one vowel sound, and the stress falls on that, right? This is also another information that you should keep in mind. The stress in a word, whichever the stress syllable is, the stress actually falls on the vowel sound of that syllable, right? Vowel sound is what which is responsible for taking in the stress, right? In monosyllabic words, one vowel sound, and that stress falls on that particular sound, right? That is the one which is stressed. Okay, now there's an unstressed vowel, right? So you have 20 vowel sounds, and out of that, one is unstressed, and unstressed vowel is called shva. It is always unstressed. Okay, if you have the vowel sound shva, the in a word, then usually it is unstressed. Not usually, it is always unstressed, right? And they are very commonly used in forming this rhythmic pattern called the iambic pentameter. What is iambic pentameter in rhythm? One stressed vowel followed by unstressed vowel. Okay, then stressed syllable, again unstressed syllable. So there's an alternating stressed and unstressed syllable in this kind of a meter. It's a meter. It's a meter that you use in creating a rhythm. So this one is very common in that, because this has the quality of remaining unstressed. Out of all the 20 vowels, one is unstressed, and that is the shva. Okay. Where do you find this vowel sound? See, look at this. It can occur at the end of the words, middle of the words, or beginning of the words. End of the words like sofa. Okay, it's not sofa. You say sofa. Okay. So the last vowel you hear, that is a shva sound, and that's unstressed in such words. Okay. Sofa. In the middle of the words, emphasis. Emphasis. It's not emphasis. Emphasis. Right. After fa, the vowel sound which follows is the shva, emphasis. And in the beginning of words such as round, rise, right? They're all shva, and in all of these words, it is unstressed, right? Wherever it occurs, whichever the word is, if there's the presence of the vowel sound, the shva, that is unstressed. Okay, it is actually, I can't even say because it is such an insignificant one that it is when produced in isolation, it is difficult for you to even articulate this vowel properly because it's unstressed, right? But in a word, you can, like sofa, emphasis, rise.
That arise and arise, how pronunciation is different?
Arise and which one?
Rise, R-I-S-E, rise.
RISC doesn't have the shva sound. That's why. So when I say rise and rise, are they two different things or same things?
Rise. Should be not, stressed. That's all. Okay. Rise.
Yes.
Rise
Right.
and rise. Round,
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
It's not.
Not around. Okay. It's a different vowel sound.
Yeah.
You have to practice a little bit. People usually do this in Indian English. This is a common phenomena that you see. Usually, Indians don't use this shva vowel at all. Instead, they replace it with the sound.
Yes.
But if you are trying to, I am not advising you to change the way you're speaking. It's okay. Around arise, it's a acceptable thing. You also have something called a received pronunciation. They are fine with using this thing. But if you're very particular about, bringing about a change, then yes, it's an unstressed one. So try to say it without that sort of, don't, when you say stress, what we mean is you give a little more pressure, a little more strength, or you speak it a little more louder. So don't speak it too loud. Like don't say around, say around. Okay, that's all. Around, arise. Don't say it is, don't make your so pronounced, right? Stressing basically means that. elongating, lengthening it or saying it aloud is what we mean by stressing on something, right? So if it's something is unstressed, like a shwa, then you don't speak it aloud or you do not lengthen it. Of course, lengthening property definitely does not apply to something that is unstressed. Okay, that's it. So instead of around, he's around here. You say he's around here. Sorry. Okay, he's around here, not he's around here. That's all. But this is not something that is like extremely important, or it's not like the most important part of the pronunciation that EFL learners should work on or ESL learners should work on, right? But as an information, we should definitely tell you about this. So all of these words you have what shva, right, in this. Then you will also find it's the sole component of the ER part words, right? Like say teacher, brother. So you actually the last R sound that you see in all these words, they are not very pronounced. You don't have to say brother or sister or anything. That's not required, right? You just say brother. Simpler. Teacher. Right? The R, the R sound is not at all articulated. There is this shwa sound. Okay. Okay. So that was that. Then we move on to the next one. What is it? The fourth one is prefixes. Okay, you have prefixes and suffixes also in a word. Now, what happens the time you have a prefix or a suffix? Prefixes, they're often stressed in nouns and less often in verbs. Okay, so if you have a verb that forms, which is formed from a prefix or for some reason it has a prefix attached to it, then in verbs you don't see any stress on the prefixes that's there with the verb, right? Whereas in nouns, you will see this stressed, right? Can you give me an example of a verb with a prefix? Think about it. Any verb that you can give me with a prefix? No, nobody?
No, it is same unpack.
Unpack. Yes,
Misunderstand.
correct. Unpack is correct. Okay. And
Misunderstand.
yes, yes. So when you have a, something like unpack where un is your prefix, where do you think the stress would be on? Will it be on un?
Yes.
No, no.
Unpack.
No. Unpack, you won't have the stress on. That's the thing that I was talking about. When you have prefixes, in nouns, they can be stressed, but in verbs, usually the prefixes are not stressed. So it is unpack, not unpack. Okay, unpack. Get this?
Okay.
On the prefixes when used with a verb, but on nouns, they may. Okay. And what happens to adjective? If there's a prefix in an adjective, stress often falls on the first syllable of the root after the prefix. Example, just to give you an example, like unpack. In unpack, the stress is on, not on un, right? It's on the second syllable. How about an adjective with prefix?
Adjective.
Adjective with prefix. Okay. Say uncomfortable. We'll use the same prefix un. So uncomfortable, right? Comfortable is a is an adjective, or unhappy, right? Any of these. Where is the stress in this? Where do you think will be based on what you have just read? Stress often falls on the first syllable of the root after the prefix. So where will you see? Will you see it on the prefix? No. Again, the stress is not on that. It says falls on the first syllable after of the root after the prefix. Okay. So uncomfortable, or I'll maybe just write it. Oh no, this is a PDF. I cannot do that. Okay. I'll send you the EPT, so I'll add this into that. So both in unpack is a verb, right? In that the stress was not on the prefix. Uncomfortable is an adjective. Again, the stress is not on un. So in both cases, which means in verb and adjectives both, you don't have the stress on the prefix. Other rules of the stress will apply as and where it is considered correct, but definitely not on the prefix. Okay. How about noun? Since we discussed this, let's also talk about noun with a prefix. Example, a noun with a prefix.
Unemployment.
Sorry?
Unemployment.
Unemployment. Okay, good. So where is the stress in unemployment? Where do you think it will fall? Unemployment or unemployed, anything, Unemployment is a good example.
It's on the prefix. Unemployed.
Unemployed. It's okay. I'm asking you, where is it? Is it on un? It's not necessary all the time that, it falls on un. They just say that, in nouns, you could see the stress on the prefix, but not every time. In the case of unemployment, you don't have the stress on un. Okay. Because see, it's a derived word. What is the basic word? It is employ, right? I'll tell you, this is a little complicated word, and I like that example. Employment or employment as the right pronunciation would go. It comes from the verb employ, right? The first thing that you would add to it is, you can't say unemployed. So the first derivational word that comes out of employ would be employment, right? So you're adding ment to that, right? And then you add un. Only after it becomes employment, you can say unemployment, right? So there's an order to all of this. You cannot just do anything. But because the base word, the root word is employ, and employ is a verb, verbs are usually stressed on what syllable? The second syllable, right? Usually they are stressed on the second syllable. So in the word employ, the stress is on employ, the second syllable, right? The second syllable is what is employed, which means the second diphthong that you see there is what which takes the stress. Now, after you add ment to it, no changes happen to the stress pattern because ment is a neutral suffix. It does not change the stress pattern. And you add unto this whole thing, even that does not change. Why does it not change? Because the syllabification on verbs are usually very strong. That stress pattern usually doesn't shift things. For more, whatever, if you have derived the word from a verb, then usually the stress pattern of that does not change at all. Okay, unless you have some sort of a meant, it is neutral one, it does not change the stress pattern. Okay, it's a good word in the sense it has too many rules to be applied in terms of stress. It's a good example to work with if you're trying to understand multiple stress patterns applied on one single word. Okay, but yes, in this case, you don't see a stress on the un here. How about, we look at something with miss. Miss prefix with a noun. Or, when you have a noun. Somebody said something, you weren't audible. Yes. Any word that you can give? Okay, so try doing this exercise. Okay, make a list of words with un. What will you make? You will make 3 lists. One is, the one with a prefix for
verb, adjective, noun.
Adjective. Yes, make and see how the stress patterns vary in all of them. Okay, just make 3 different columns. Write down a couple of, at least 10 words each from these. Add prefixes to nouns, adjectives, and verbs. 10 each of all of them, and mark stress on all of them, and see how the stress pattern varies. use these prefixes, or if you want to add something from the larger list, you can add that. But to begin with, maybe use un, in, pre, ex, and miss. Okay. At least use 3 out of the 5 that you have here and see how the stress pattern works. Okay. I'll ask you in the next class. Please bring that. I will also have a list ready to show you, to demonstrate it to you, but I also want to take help from you in that case. Be ready with that because we'll anyway be doing exercises in this in the next class. Okay, then about suffixes. Suffixes at the end of the word are rarely stressed except for a few, and we look at what these except for a few are. Okay, normally it is not stressed. Like I told you about the word unemployment, MENT, it's a neutral suffix. They don't get stressed. But there are of them which will definitely take the stress on them, and we'll see what they are. Okay, just a few which would take stress on themselves. Usually suffixes at the end, they never take stress on themselves. But we'll see what they are. Disyllabic words. So you have 2-syllable nouns or 2-syllable adjectives. What happens? The stress usually falls on what? The first syllable, right? So whenever you have a 2-syllabic noun, it means noun that has 2 syllables in it, or an adjective word which has 2 syllables on it. Usually the stress is on which syllable? Always the first syllable. Keep this in mind. Okay, this is important. You have a noun, you have a adjective with more than 1 syllable. Always the stress is on the first one. Okay, most of the times. Let's not say always, because you know there is that 20% words which will not fall into the category. So most of the times it's on the first syllable, right? Now, nouns may be stressed on the last syllable if there is a long vowel sound or diphthong in it. Okay. If there is a long vowel or if there is a diphthong sound at the end of the word, then in that case, nouns may be stressed on the last syllable. Example, career, trainee, right? Look at this. But in case of trainee, the reason is a little different. Okay. I'll talk to you about trainee when we talk about it, but career is a good example, right? When you have long vowel, right? A long vowel or a diphthong at the end of the 2-syllable noun words, then the stress can shift on to that. Because, you know, whenever the vowel is longer or when there is a combination of 2 of them in the case of a diphthong, what happens? It takes more strength onto it, becomes more stronger. And therefore, it attracts the stress on itself. Okay, that's the reason. So whenever there is a longer vowel in a word, generally, the stress usually falls on that particular syllable. Okay, keep that in mind. And the same thing, the same rule applies even to adjectives. If there is a long vowel or a diphthong in it at the end of the word, then the vowel shifts to that. Otherwise, most of the time it's on the first syllable. Okay, so example is complete, extreme, right? So the last, in both the words, the last 2 vowels are longer. Stress shifts onto the syllable with that particular vowel, the long vowel. Okay, fleet and tree, both of them take the stress instead of the first. 2-syllable verbs, what happens to them? Always the stress falls on the second syllable, especially if the first syllable is a prefix. See, the example that we were talking about, unpack, right? The stress was not on un, the stress was taken on the second syllable pack, right? So always the stress is on the second syllable for verb as opposed to the noun and adjectives. Especially if it has a prefix with it, then the syllable is always on the stress is always on the second syllable. The example we looked at was unpack. Then you have another 2 examples here, misplace, dislike. Both cases, the syllable is marked on the second syllable. Okay. Stress is marked on the second syllable. Understood this point? Any confusions that you have? Any questions? No, right? So now, sorry?
No, I was just saying complete. It's a long vowel or diphthong, madam?
It's a long vowel. Complete. Extreme.
Complete.
It's a long E. So nouns, adjectives, adverbs, all of them take usually on the first syllable, but if it has a longer vowel at the end of the word, then the stress shifts to that. In verb, mostly on the second syllable, especially if it has a prefix and the verb itself is monosyllabic, then the stress again falls on the second syllable. Dislike, misplace, right? Unpack, all of that. Now, trisyllabic words, again, 3-syllable nouns are usually stressed on the first syllable. 3-syllable adjectives are usually stressed on the first syllable, right? Again, the same rule, whether disyllabic or trisyllabic, the stress for nouns and adjectives usually falls on the first syllable. So we can maybe come about with a general rule that if you have a noun or an adjective or an adverb, usually the stress is always on the first syllable, right? In these cases depend on, in the case of noun particularly, based on the suffixes that is taken up by this noun, there could be a little bit of a change. There's one example that I've demonstrated using the suffix. Look at this. Derived nouns, right? The many nouns, especially the ones that are derived from verbs with prefixes, they have stress on the second syllable. Okay, look at this one. Photograph, photography, photograph. Have you seen this? Sorry, photograph, photography, photographic, right? In photograph, what is the category? What is it? Noun, adjective, verb, what is it? Photograph? Noun, right? This is a simple noun that you have here. And
So-
as per the rule, it is stressed on the
First syllable.
right? Now look at the second one. Photography. Is it noun? Photography. It is still noun, right? It's still noun. But what has happened to it? We have added the suffix to it. The suffix y is added to it. And it's a new noun now. It is derived. Photograph is noun, stressed on the first syllable. Photography, again noun. But because of the addition of the suffix y to it, the stress is now shifted on to which one? The second last syllable. Second syllable, or usually how you say this is second last syllable, which because this is said like this, second last syllable or the penultimate syllable. This is to show that the stress pattern has changed because of the presence of the suffix. Okay. Instead of saying stressed on the second syllable, to show that the change has happened because of the addition of the suffix, people would say second syllable from the last, second last syllable, or penultimate syllable. Okay, that is the right way of saying it to indicate the change due to the addition of suffix. So, photography, so the penultimate syllable or the second syllable takes the stress because of the presence of the suffix y. Now, photographic. Photographic. Is photographic noun or adjective or verb?
Graphic. Adjective.
Adjective.
Adjective. This is adjective, right? So adding IC, the suffix to it has changed the category into an adjective. Now, what changes happen? Where is the stress in this word?
Here also again second last.
Yes, you have 4 syllables, and out of this, the stress falls on the penultimate syllable, right? Or the second last syllable. This brought about by the change due to the addition of the suffix IC. Remember, we discussed that suffixes usually do not take stress on them. They give stress to the other counterpart syllables that they have. And these are all examples of that. Some of them will not bring about any change, like the one that we saw in unemployment, MENT. But these ones, YIC, all of them can cause changes in stress patterns. Okay, we discussed that in the next slide or something. Then another, yes.
This photography and photographic are both are it's a trisyllable nouns or adjective, whatever it is. I mean, 3-syllable word. So here in photography, photo is 2 syllables, second syllable, graphy is the third one. Correct or photography?
Yes, yes, it is photo and graphic. Yes.
Photography. In photographic, you have to say photo is 1 syllable. First syllable, photo.
No. Photographic, it has 4.
4 syllables, not a 3-syllable word.
Not 3 syllables.
Photographic.
Yes. Yeah, actually the rules that applies to the trisyllabic and this one is mostly carried over to the polysyllabic words also, because you don't have a separate category of stress patterns for polysyllabic words. So anything about 2 is going to follow the same rules. From 3 onwards, everything is the same.
Okay, thanks.
Now, another one you see there, some nouns have primary stress on the last syllable. Okay, if there is a long vowel, we discussed this already, right? Like in the word career and refugee and trainee. But this refugee and trainee, actually it takes it on itself because it's a long vowel, of course. But these are also suffixes. You know, these suffixes like ee or s, all of them usually attract the stress on themselves. Okay, these are the only category of cells. The other category of suffixes, other than either they are neutral or they just pass on the stress to some other syllable. But these suffixes e, s, they take it on themselves, and that is because they have a long vowel in it. Okay, that's the reason. Produce. This is a question from the assignment or something, no? I remember seeing the word produce.
Last week, 8th week,
Ah,
graded assignment.
yes, yes. So there is also something called functional stress. So this produce and that part is based on that. So there are words which are used both as nouns and verbs. So when you use the word as a noun, by rule, what do? You always stress it on the first syllable.
First.
And when you use it as a verb, you stress it on the second syllable. That's all, right? So object and object, right? When you want to use object, the word object as noun, you stress it on the first one.
Syllable.
You want to use it as a, you want to use it to mean it as a verb, you stress it on the second. Okay. So to give you an example, I object to your statement, right? And I do not like that object, right? So there's a change in the way you, functional stress is what they are called. So based on the function of the word you use, you stress it accordingly. Yeah, verb and noun, correct. Now, okay, the last thing here, which I want to talk to you about is suffixes and stress patterns. Some of them we already looked at, but this is a specific list. So see here, I suffixes, right? I-A-L, yel, yen, ein, yes, I-E-N-T, yen, ikel, ik, ix, iti, I-fi, if, it is, etude, ibn, em, imam, all of them, these I suffixes, they take the stress on the syllable before them. So this is penultimate syllable, right? Whenever you see these suffixes, shen, examination, right? Or implication, recommendation. So whenever you have the shen suffixes, again, you will have the stress on the penultimate syllable. Similarly, I suffixes will also take it on the penultimate syllable, right? So copious, right? Copious, because it only has 2 syllables, it's going to take on the, as per the stress pattern on the penultimate, and because here the penultimate is the first syllable, co, that gets the stress, copious, okay? If I take a larger word, say
Dietitian.
Okay, no, I'm talking about I suffixes, that is shan, no?
Okay.
Multitude, for example, right? Okay, you have a word like multitude. Where will be the stress?
Multitude. T-U-D.
Multitude. Okay, multitude. Because T is the second syllable before itude is what is going to take the stress. Multitude. Okay. Or say you have something like a word like
Audible.
with audible is just 2 syllable. I am trying to look at something with
Okay.
more than 2.
Minimum.
Minimum, okay, with imam, right? So minimum on the second syllable, ni, because of imam, right? We will we can say something like, sorry,
Pandemonium.
pandemonium. Okay, em, no, with em, yes, yeah, pandemonium. Where will you stress it?
On.
Pandemonium.
Mo.
On.
Pandemonium. So on the penultimate syllable, correct. Okay, so that's the point. All these e suffixes will take it on the penultimate syllable, the syllable right before this suffix. Similarly, able, airy, so able, ary, shell, ery, graphy, logy, tull, all of them are also the kind of suffixes which will take it on the penultimate syllable. So say something like psychology. How would you stress the word psychology? Where will you stress it?
Psychology. Logy.
Psy.
Law.
Psychology.
Psychology.
Psy.
So
Psychology.
where will you stress it?
Law.
First syllable.
In this
Psychology.
low,
Okay,
low,
psychology.
I think.
No, logy is the suffix, no. So it has to be stressed on the syllable
Before
before
the
that.
suffix. Okay.
So psychology, right? Psychology. Then photography we already looked at in photography and everything. Yeah, able, anything with able is very common.
Capable.
No, give me a word which is like a little, longer. Say, translatable. Where will you stress?
Yeah.
Translatable. Translatable.
Translate. Translate. Translatable.
Translatable. Where will you stress it? The question is, where is the stress?
It will be in translatable.
How many syllables in translatable? Translatable.
Four.
Right. Three.
Three.
Three vowels.
Translatable.
Right. Okay. So translate is again a what is it? It's a verb. So it already has the syllable marked on with syllable. Sorry, stress marked on with syllable. The second one, right? In verbs, you usually have it on the second one, right? So if it is a verb derived word, then usually what happens is stress doesn't shift. And anyway, it does not affect our overall stress pattern because any word with able is going to take the stress on the syllable right before it. And in this case, it happens to be late in this case. In case that is not the condition, you have some other syllable, then the stronger stress among the suffix and the verb marking is the verb one. So the verb which already has a stress on it, it does not change its pattern because of the presence of suffix or prefix. Okay, so things keep in mind. In this case, this also happens to be the second syllable from the end, so no confusion. But in case you have a word where there's a clash between this, then go by the rule of the verb. Okay, marked on the second syllable. Able, airy, shen, shell, airy, graphy, logy, and tal. Yes, this is the example. Then this one I already discussed with you. E, right? Refugee, trainee, Japanese, Chinese, ik, okay, critique, physique, okay, etiquette, netiquette. When you have suffixes like this, e, is, ik, et, the stress is on the suffix, right? The suffix takes the stress. Why? Because they have long vowels in them. That's why. Okay. Eek, it, is, e, all of them are long vowels. So they will take the stress on themselves. Then L, lis, full, ish, less, li, who, ship, meant, all of these are what we call as neutral suffixes. They don't take any, as in their presence into the word. If you add them into an existing word, then it does not bring about any change in the stress of the original word. Okay. So hope, hopeful. Hope is what? Noun, adjective, pronoun, verb. What is it? Hope.
Noun.
Noun. Hope is noun, right?
Noun.
Or it can also be used as what? Verb. Right?
Hope.
So if you add the suffix full to it, hopeful. Where is the stress in hope? First syllable.
First syllable.
Yeah. it won't change. Okay, so it remains on the first syllable itself. It does not change. Or look at some other example like
In full
something
only,
that-
beautiful,
no, not full. Beautiful.
like
Okay,
would,
but sorry,
less likelihood. In that
less
less
likely.
will, I used all the three in that, madam. Likelihood, less likelihood.
Less is a different thing. You can't. I don't think there's a word called less likelihood. They're two different things. No,
Likelihood
less
is
and
better.
likelihood. Likelihood is possible.
So
Likelihood is
lesser
possible.
than likelihood is less likelihood. Not
Less.
not correct.
No, no, that is not one word. Less likelihood is not one word. Likelihood is one word. But again, so what happens? It has both li and hood, which are both neutral. So they're definitely not going to affect the suffix. And anyway, like is a monosyllabic word. Okay. So definitely the stress is on the first syllable. But I'm looking for something less suffix,
Yes.
a longer word.
Selfless.
Selfless, again, monosyllabic, the first word is.
Selfless too only.
Okay, so something like meaningless.
Meaningless.
Meaningless. So what happens in meaning? Where is the stress in meaning? Even meaning is like a easy one because ing suffixes again do not. They are also neutral. They also don't take any stress shift. Cannot come up with one. Yes. That could be it. Longer words. Okay, we'll think about it. Doesn't come to me.
Conditionless.
Condition again, it says only 2 syllables. If we have something with more than that, it should be good. Demonstration becomes easier.
Usefulness. That are 3 syllables.
Usefulness also has 3 syllables. Ness also does not bring it. You can add more to this list actually. You can add ness. You can add meant. This may not be a full list. Just to give you an example that they don't bring about any change. Even ness does not bring about any change to the stress. That's also neutral suffix. Okay. Usefulness, it has again fullness, does not bring about any change. Okay. All right. Anyway, the point was to tell you to make a note of these kind of suffixes. When they appear in a word, then they don't bring about any change to the stress pattern. Whatever is the original stress of the word, of the root word, that is retained. No shift happens in the stress patterns. Okay, so they do not affect the stress marking of the word when they appear in the word. That's it. Okay. So these are few 5 or 6 rules that you should keep in mind, plus the functional use of verb and words that are used both as noun and verb, right? When verb, the common rule applies. When used as a noun, stress on first syllable. When used as a verb, stress on second syllable. Okay. If you know this much, then stress is okay for you. Sometimes it can get a little complicated when multiple stress patterns apply. Then you'll have to make a call on how all of this works. But otherwise, it's all right. Okay, this is not very difficult. It looks a little difficult, but it is not. Okay, just a bit of practice will help you understand this.
In
Okay,
quiz, we'll be having these questions, no, madam?
Yeah, you will have questions for the quiz and your end exam and everything. It's very much a part of that. Okay, fine. So I think I'm done with this one. We'll take up the exercises related to stress in the next class. Okay. So I think we'll have more
really good.
words to. Sorry.
Thank you, madam. This was really useful session.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm glad to know it was useful.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, see you all, everyone. Next week, we'll do the exercise and it will be clearer for you from this. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next week. Bye.